This is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're at the 8th Annual Precious Metals Summit here in Beaver Creek, Colorado. With me right now is Clynton Nauman from Alexco Resource Corp. It's a publicly traded company, two symbols for you, AXR on the TSX and AXU on the NYSE American. Clint, welcome back to SNNLive.
Well, thanks very much for having me here, and this is it's a great conference, and we're looking forward to further discussions. So.
Well, we can't wait to hear more. But first, let's get an overview of the company, and we'll go from there.
Well, Alexco is making the transition from explorer developer to developer producer. During that transition, we are expanding our resource base in the district, in the Keno Hill District in the Yukon, which is our primary or really our only asset. And just most recently, we've announced a new resource for one of the deposits that's on the schedule to be mined. And in that particular case, we've expanded the resource from 17.5 million ounces of silver to 33 million ounces of silver indicated at grades that are north of 600 grams per ton. So it's a fairly typical deposit and discovery for the Keno Hill District, relatively high grade, quite continuous. It's an underground proposition, and it'll help significantly in terms of better understanding how our mine plan is going to unfold over the next several years.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we had you on here this same time last year, so I'm sure there's many updates that have been going on in the company. You alluded to already some news that came out, I think, fairly recently, so let's get that full update. Since 2017, what's been going on in the company, and maybe a little bit more about some of this recent news?
Yeah, so in the last 12 months, we have initiated underground work at two of the deposits, the Flame and Moth deposit and the Birmingham deposit. There's a total of about 1,500 meters of underground decline that has to be driven. We're about 70% of the way through that at the present time. The first decline to be driven was the Birmingham decline. It was completed in May of this year. And from the bottom of that decline, we've done a lot of infill drilling at this new Birmingham deposit while we've been driving the Flame and Moth deposit. In addition to that, we've been executing a fairly large surface exploration program, 15,000 meters. It primarily concentrated around areas that we anticipate will be mined at some point in the future, and results from those programs are sort of ongoing and continue to be positive and very encouraging. We've also been working to wind up all of our permitting activity to make sure that we have the proper authorizations, put this district back into production. And then, of course, on the other side, we also own an environmental business, and that business it's a 100% owned subsidiary. It has been doing very well in the last 12 months and is profitable and growing and will continue to grow fairly rapidly here, actually, in the next couple of years.
So a question I had, is that we interview a number of companies here that have mining operations in the Yukon. What about your property in the mining district you're at makes what you're developing unique?
Well, the Keno Hill District is, it's a legacy mining district in Canada. The first mines were established there in the early 1900s. They produced more than 200 million ounces of silver at a grade of more than 40 ounces a ton between the early 1900s and 1980. So it is one of the higher grade silver districts in the world, albeit maybe not as well known. But it sat fallow really from the late 1980s until 2006 when Alexco acquired the district. And so it's only recently that it's become, better known in the industry, and has sort of reestablished its reputation, if you like, as a very high grade silver district. So yeah, that's the primary criteria by which the district is known at this point.
And like I said, it's been about a year since we had you on. I just want to refresh our audience's memory. What's your background? I mean, how did you get into all this?
Well, I'm just a geologist, and I'd known about the Keno Hill District. I did a lot of work in Alaska in the 1970s, and had known about the Keno District for quite some time. So when the opportunity arose, we didn't hesitate to take advantage of it, and we simply formed a company around that acquisition. And even though we were prior to that doing some reclamation work in the north, and had a small reclamation business, which has now grown to be quite a significant business.
And Clint, for those who don't know, can you provide a little bit more color on the environmental business that you have at Alexco Resource?
Yeah, sure. I don't want to detract from the primary, business of Alexco, which is development and ultimately production here. But the environmental business is focused on remediation, of contaminated areas in and around mines and industrial sites. And we focus on water and soils, we've been quite successful under some fairly stressful circumstances in controlling, contamination from getting into waterways and whatnot in and around some of these industrial sites. So it's a business that that is very nimble. And is quite capable, very innovative. We have a number of patents in the remediation business, and has been very successful.
So, from what you can tell me, what are some of the company's value catalysts moving into 2019?
Well, the catalyst is going to be the transition to production if we make that decision. So you would expect that there's going to be some lift in terms of the value once that decision's made. But to be frank, I mean, in a $14 silver market, it's not going to be an easy decision. So we're currently doing a pre-feasibility study. So we're going to wait until that's published and available, and that'll be within the next month or so. And then on the back of that, we'll decide, whether or not we're going to move this district to production. So that will be the primary, value driver. We'll continue to do exploration. We already have, more than 80 million ounces indicated in this district that we have put on the books, and another more than 20 million ounces of inferred resource, silver resource. So the district has topped 100 million ounces in resource. So, I mean, it's by any measure now on a global basis, I mean, it's a significant silver district. And we'll continue to do the exploration. It's been very successful. Our discovery costs are relatively low, and the rate at which we're finding these deposits is quite high, actually, from a geological perspective. So they're the drivers. And I'd also like to think that, more and more people are paying attention to our environmental business. It's well branded. It's growing. And it has some very significant and high-profile projects that it's working on in North America.
And where can our audience go and find more information about Alexco Resource?
So our website is www.alexcoresource.com, and you're welcome to go there. There's a lot of information on that website, and that website will also lead you to our environmental business. So that's the place to go for more information.
My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're at the 8th Annual Precious Metals Summit in Beaver Creek, Colorado. With me again has been Clynton Nauman from Alexco Resource Corp. It's a publicly traded company, AXR on the TSX and AXU on the NYSE American. Clint, thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.